Hi again. Sorry about that. I had an interruption on the phone. Hopefully that won't happen again. This week, we're going to have the lecture in two parts, part one and part two. This is part two. So we'll continue now. Passage 4, competition and cooperation. Now, we think of these as opposite, right? Competing, fighting, two teams playing against each other, competing, and cooperation is working together. The players on one team cooperate together, but they compete against the other team. Now that's true, but we're going to learn that actually they are kind of the same thing. This is very interesting. Competition was defined as a situation in which rewards are distributed unequally on the basis of performance. So, sure, win, lose. One team wins, one team loses. A fight, a boxing match, competition, right? Yeah, one boxer or another. One boxer wins, one boxer loses. Okay, unequal. Gold medal, no medal. Or gold medal, silver, not equal. Cooperation, on the other hand, was defined as a situation in which rewards are distributed equally on the basis of mutual interactive behavior among individuals. So that's like the teammates working together, cooperating to win. If the team wins, everybody wins, equal. Number 11 is D. Competition was defined in terms of unequal distribution of rewards, and cooperation in terms of equal. Right? Everybody wins if the team wins. By this definition, a competitive situation requires at least one competitor to fail for each competitor that wins. That's what we call zero sum. In your notes, you'll see zero sum. This is exactly it. It means for every plus one winner, there has to be a minus one loser. Plus one and minus one equals 0. The sum is 0. Number 12, researchers have found definitions of competition and cooperation based upon rewards inadequate. No good, not good enough. Primarily, mainly, remember primarily, mainly, or mostly, because definitions of these two concepts based upon rewards depict them as opposites. Depict means to show, like picture. Picture shows a face or something. To depict means to show them as opposites here. Number 12 is A. It does not work well. Inadequate. Inadequate means not work well, not good enough. To define competition and cooperation in terms of rewards, because definitions of this type incorrectly indicate that the two are opposites. Indicate, show, depict. So the key points here, and notice each key point has a synonym. Okay? Inadequate, it does not work well. Indicate, show, depict. Depict them as opposites. Indicate that the two are opposites. Next, cooperation is necessary. Actually, just above the third shaded area, notice it says an integral component of. An integral or integral, two ways to pronounce it, means key, important, major, necessary. Component means part. So your hard drive is an integral component of your computer. It's a key part. It's necessary for your computer. It's not the only part, but it's an integral component of your computer. Cooperation is necessary among team members, perhaps in a sporting event or in a political race, in order to win the competition. So different examples here: sporting event, politics. It is equally important to understand that cooperation is of great importance between teams in that same sporting event or political race. Inasmuch as, here it is again, because, okay, again, inasmuch as is a formal academic term for because. The opposing teams need to be in agreement as to the basic ground rules of the game or election in order to compete. Interesting. So what does this say? 13 is B. In a number of contexts, different examples, sports, politics, different sporting events. Cooperation is necessary, integral component. Integral means necessary. Both among team members, of course, and between opposing teams. Yes! So if you're playing soccer, you think, okay, my team is cooperating. We're playing together as a team. If you don't cooperate as a team, you won't win. But we're competing against the other team. We're fighting them. We're trying to beat the other team. Yes, we are, but we're also cooperating, right? We're playing on this one field. We agree on the field. The size of the net is the same. The rules are the same. If we don't cooperate, now, of course, teams break the rules, and then there's a penalty, and that's because you broke the rule, because you didn't cooperate. Yeah, to play within the rules, both teams have to cooperate. If one team says, "Well, we're gonna use our hands," well, okay, now you can't play. The game's impossible. If one team uses their hands, the other team doesn't, you can't play a game of soccer. So there's no possible game. Both teams are not cooperating. But even boxing, any kind of thing, any kind of sport, you must have rules or you cannot have the sport. The rules say that both teams or both players must follow them. In other words, both teams or both players must cooperate or you cannot have the game. You cannot play the sport. Interesting. An understanding of the derivation means where it comes from, where it's derived from, originates. Tofu derives from bean sprouts. It originates, it's made from bean sprouts. Supports the understanding that cooperation, rather than evoking, bringing out, showing, a characteristic at the opposite extreme of human nature from competition. So it's basically, rather than cooperation being the opposite of competition, it's a necessary factor, integral component, necessary piece, necessary factor in competition. Yes. So cooperation is necessary in competition. Competition, C-O-M, com means with or together. Petition means to work together, seek together, try to get something together. In Korean, I think it's tanwon-seol, which is like whenever you make a statement and everybody signs it. Dear Professor, we don't want to do any more homework this year. Sign, sign, sign. Please don't do that. But that would be a petition where everybody signs the petition. But when you do that, what are you doing? You're cooperating, you're working together. And you're also kind of cooperating with me in that you're asking me for something based on your feelings. So it's all a form of cooperation. Okay, very good. I have a great story I'd love to tell. My favorite sport is a sport called rugby. And it's not really popular in Korea, but Korea has some very good university teams and some a very good national team. It's like the second or third best in Asia and getting better. So I played all my life. I don't play anymore because it's kind of rough and I hurt myself a few times. But I love this story. Rugby was invented in a town called Rugby, which is in England. It's just the name of the town. And there's a school there called Rugby School. And there was a young man named William Webb Ellis who back in 1823, I believe, almost 200 years ago now, he was at a boys' school called Rugby Boys' School in Rugby, England. It's a little bit north of London. And they always played soccer. Every day the teacher would say, here's a soccer ball, go run around, because the boys had to run around and play sports and get rid of the energy. But he hated soccer. He just hated it. So one day he just picked up the ball and ran with it. And then, of course, he got punished. He got hit with a stick. In those days, the teachers were not so nice. They would hit you. So poor William Webb Ellis got in trouble from the teacher. But then the teacher was like, interesting. maybe instead of soccer, we could create a sport where they run with the ball. And that's how rugby was invented. It was an accidental invention by a young man who refused to cooperate. He didn't cooperate, he got in trouble, but then they created a sport and they named the sport rugby after the school and the town that it's from. But I will say one thing, every 4 years, there's a World Cup. They had one in 2019. It was played in Japan. South Africa won the World Cup. But every 4 years, they have a World Cup of rugby, like soccer, right? And of course, they have a trophy, like soccer's World Cup. But the rugby trophy is named the William Webb Ellis Trophy. It's named after this young man who got in trouble for not cooperating. That's a true story. All right, let's go to skill 4. Please look at page 35. Sentence insertion. Now, these are the little black box questions, that little black square where you have to look at a sentence in bold sentence, and then you put it in the right box in the passage, whichever box. Now, this is very confusing at first and a little bit difficult. But once you get used to the technique, you can do these, I think, quite well. They're a little more time consuming, but you can do them. Now, here's the key. Look for the clue words. If you look at my notes today, it's very helpful. I want you to look at them now, please. Look for words that signal a connection, the clue words. These words are like a little bit like the reference. Okay, they'll refer back. Almost always the words are at the beginning of the bold sentence. Then the bold sentence refers back, connects back, and you put it there. Sometimes the words are at the end, the clue words or the keywords. Then you connect forward, and it goes to the sentence after it. Let's look at an example. The origin of chess, the beginning. How did chess start? First, look at the bold sentence. Okay, that's what you do first, always. When one brother was killed, the remaining brother had the game invented to explain the tragic events to his mother. Okay, when you read that sentence, you're always going to have a question. Who? What? Where? Okay, something that you don't know in that sentence. That's the clue. When one brother was killed, what brother? I don't know. It doesn't say. That's what you look for in the connection. Okay, one brother was killed. The remaining brother, the alive brother, one brother died, the other brother is alive. So two brothers had the game invented. So there's two brothers, one of them was killed, one is alive. And that one invented the game. The origins of the game of chess are not known with certainty, and the traditional stories in a number of cultures claim credit for developing the game. One legend claims that chess was invented during the Trojan Wars. According to another legend, chess was invented to depict, to show, remember, depict, show, portray, the battle between two royal brothers. There it is, right there. When you read, you're looking for that connection of one brother, another brother, two brothers, two royal brothers for the crown of Persia. There's your answer, C. See how it connects back. When one brother was killed, the remaining brother, two royal brothers connects when one brother, the other brother connects back. The answer is C. Number 2, this expression is used during the game to indicate, to show that one player's king is on the verge of means almost, or about to being captured, about to be captured, or on the verge of being captured. Okay, look at the first two words. This expression, what expression? I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. That's the clue. When you read something and say, what is that? I don't know. There you go. Foot soldiers in the Persian army were called piada, which became the pawns. Remember pawns? The young boys in the poor neighborhood that were pawns. No power, no control. They had to follow what others said, what others did. Pawns. comes from chess. The foot soldiers became the pawns, and the Persian chariot, ruk, became the rook, the chariot, the horse, the cart with the horse. The Persian king was the Shah, which evolved into the name chess. Shamat, which means the king is dead, became the expression checkmate. The expression checkmate. In other words, that's the connection. This expression, D. Okay, the expression checkmate, period. This expression checkmate is used. Got it? That's how you do it. Now, with practice, this will get easier. Okay, so again, some of you are asking me about this. When we practice the passage 1 through 4, the practice passages that are shorter, don't rush. Don't take forever, but don't rush. Take your time and develop a pattern. Learn how to look for the clue words. Learn how to find them in the passage. Develop a pattern that works for you, and then you use it more quickly on the review exercises. This is how we get our TOEFL better and better. Okay? Take your time at first, develop a pattern, follow the strategy, then it gets faster. As always, read the shaded box. The shaded box basically is what I put in the notes today, more or less. But please, as always, read the introduction and the shaded box. Very important. And do the practice questions again. Now, you do that on your own time. Now we're going to practice together a couple of passages. Number 1 is popcorn. Well, everybody knows what popcorn is. Go ahead and read popcorn and answer number 1 and number 2. Give yourself around 5 minutes, 5 or 6. If you need more time, that's okay. Go ahead. Number 1, Native Americans have been popping corn for at least 5,000 years, using a variety of different methods. What are the methods? I don't know. That's the clue. Comes at the end. The end of the sentence, look forward. One method of popping corn involved skewering an ear of corn on a stick. There's your answer. See? Using a variety of different methods. What's coming next? A variety of methods. Some different methods of popping corn. 1A, one method, There's your answer. Question 1, this is an introduction. This sentence introduces the topic. What comes after it are a variety of different methods. One method, 1B, corn was also popped, also on another method. 1C, in a final method. There's a variety, 3 different methods. Skewering, ear of corn is the one big corn, that big piece, corn on the cob, that's an ear. I don't know why we call it ear, but we do. Skewer is where you put a stick on something, like on meat or corn or anything like that. That's skewering, like kebab style. Number 2, a century after these early explorers, who are they? I don't know. There's your clue. These, those, this, that, him, her, he, she. Very much like reference. The referent here that you're looking for is, who are these early explorers? This traditional Native American dish was quite a novelty. Novelty, new. Remember N-O-V? Novel, novice, right? New, innovative product, N-O-V, new. To the Americas, Columbus and his sailors found natives in the West Indies wearing popcorn necklaces, and explorer Hernando Cortez described the use of popcorn amulets in the religious ceremonies of the Aztecs. Columbus, early explorer. Cortez, early explorer. These early explorers. Number 2 is C. See the connection? This is how you solve these questions. Now, but look at 2C here. According to legendary descriptions of the celebratory meal. What meal? What? Celebratory means to celebrate. Okay, like at a wedding, you have a meal, that's a celebratory meal. Or graduation or birthday, like this. Look at number 2 again. The Pilgrims at Plymouth may have been introduced to popcorn at the first Thanksgiving dinner. That's a celebration. It's a holiday. So that's the celebratory meal. See how this number 2 connects forward to 2C and it connects back to 2B. The answer is 2C. Amulet is like something you wear, like here. Usually it has a cultural or religious significance. A lot of Catholic people wear a cross, and that's kind of an amulet. It's usually a cultural or religious symbol that you would wear or you would hold at a cultural or religious event, a special ceremony. This I have, by the way, that's a rugby ball. Remember I told you about William Webb Ellis? Yeah. So my amulet is from my sport, rugby. That's what they mean by amulets. Let's do one more. Lions. Okay, everybody knows what lions are, so go ahead. Passage 2, questions 3, 4, and 5. Number 3, other cats do not. Do not do what? I don't know. Other cats, well, that means before number 3, they talk about some kind of cat and something they do, because other cats don't do that. Something unusual. See, unusual. Others don't, they do. Unusual. About lions is that they hunt in groups. B, other cats do not. Lions are cats. Lions hunt in groups. That's unusual. Why is it unusual? Because other cats do not. B. Number 4, this is usually accomplished by knocking the prey to the ground. The prey is the animal you're trying to eat, right? The animal you want to kill, to eat, and breaking its neck. Ooh. What happens when you break something's neck? It dies. So what is this? This is I don't know, but if you break someone's neck, it dies, so this connects to killing somehow. When prey is spotted, when prey is seen, a group of young lionesses, female lions, advances on the herd, on the group. Okay, a herd of animals is a big group of animals, in the direction of a different lioness who has hidden herself downwind. Hidden. It is up to this concealed female. Concealed, hidden. Notice the good writer uses this synonyms for connections to choose the weakest member of the herd for the kill. The kill. The kill. This is accomplished by knocking him down, breaking its neck, killing it. The kill. D. That's how you do this. You connect using synonyms or connecting words. This is accomplished by breaking its neck. That's killing it. The kill. D. Number 4 is D. Downwind means the wind is going in one direction and you're down, so they won't smell you. If you're upwind, right? If the wind is coming from this way and I'm downwind, the other animals won't smell me. But if I'm upwind, they will smell me. They'll run away. Last one. Thus, the males have a defensive rather than an offensive role. Okay, here's a little secret. Thus is the same as therefore, or like so. This comes at the end. This is a summary. So when you hear thus or therefore, it's usually right at the end, D. Okay? Thus, the males are defensive. Yes. The males in the pride. Pride is the name for like a family or a big group of lions, a pride of lions. Usually it's like an extended family. The younger and stronger females go on the attack. Offensive. The females are attacking. The males stay behind to protect the young ones. Defensive. Thus, the males are defensive and not offensive. The women kill, the males protect the babies. Interesting. Okay, homework. Accidental inventions. We've looked at some. Remember Post-it notes? And rugby. Today I told you how rugby was an accidental invention. So read passage 3, a couple of interesting examples here actually. And passage 4, uranium, very scientific. Then I want you to do Theodore Dreiser. Again, page 41 is the regular passage. You can read it if you want, but really for the purpose of TOEFL, answering TOEFL questions, page 42 is much better, much more useful. So read, up to you, but I recommend you use page 42, and then answer questions 1 through 10. Now, let me explain. We are finishing unit 4. Now, after every 2 units, you will have 2 review exercises. One will review the last 2 units. In this case, unit 3 and unit 4. The next one will review all 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to now. This will continue for the rest of the book. We will do the second review next week together in the video. I don't want you to do it for homework. So stop at page 44. That's good enough. But when you do Theodore Dreiser, time yourself. 10 questions, 10 times 1.5 equals 15. So give yourself 15 minutes. Read it. It's long. It's not easy. But this is the one you want to push yourself on. Uranium and accidental inventions. Take your time, not too long, but take time. Practice your answering skill, your strategies. Get into a rhythm. Then test yourself by pushing yourself 15 minutes, Theodore Dreiser. Good. Let's move on. Listening. Please go to page 135. 135, passage 3. Last week, we were looking at exercise 2, skill 2, understanding the details. Passage 3, education, early teachers. A couple things here. Early means at the beginning. Now, like early automobiles, the first cars at the beginning. Early computers, the first computers. Early computers are really big and difficult and complicated. Yeah, they've changed a lot, haven't they? Early teachers, in this case in the US, teachers from 100 years ago or so. In parts of the US, that was an early part of the development of the country. Look at the picture. What do you see? Professor. That's a slide projector. We don't use those anymore, but it's a very common thing that teachers and professors used to use. Each slide was one photo, and they could go through one by one. A bit like a file now, where you one by one you scroll through the pictures. This is the same idea, but individual photographs. Now, the point here is you see only the professor. That means this is a lecture. Almost always when the picture shows only the professor, that means you're listening to a lecture. So it'll be organized like a lecture. Take notes like you're listening to a lecture. Okay, the scripts were on page 584. I will turn there now. You can listen again while we answer. You can listen and then review. It's up to you how you want to do it. I sent you the listening files last week. Number 12, who is listening? She says, all of you are enrolled in this introductory education course. You are enrolled means you are in the class. You signed up. You're on the roll. The roll is the list, student list. Enrolled means on the roll, means in the class. Who are they? D, future teachers. They want to become teachers. Number 12, she says at paragraph 2, early in the 20th century, C. Number 13 is C. Early in the 20th century, roughly 100 years ago. Number 14, there were very strict rules that controlled like government, every aspect of the teacher's life. Not just how she should conduct herself. Conduct means behave. Okay, how you must behave at school and on school property, but also everything in their life. So what do we say? They were strict, and they were not just about conduct at school. Number 14A, they were strict. C, not just about behavior at school. Notice the synonym. Always look for synonyms. Conduct in the script, behavior synonym in the answer. Number 14 is A and C. Number 15, what does she talk about next? She talks about, here are some rules. Appearance, okay, appearance. What are the key points? Key point 1, appearance. What are the details? Don't wear colorful clothing, don't dye your hair or wear it loose, and don't wear skirts above the ankle. Wow. So you had to wear no pants. The teachers were almost always women, and your hair couldn't be loose, free. It had to be tied up, and also not colored. So what do we know about clothing? Number 15, B, the color, no colorful clothing. C, the length. Skirts must be below the ankles. Next one, in the evenings, what does it say in the evenings? Well, teachers' whereabouts, where they were, where they went, where after school hours were strictly regulated, strictly controlled, strictly governed. They couldn't go to ice cream parlors? Strange. Bars, okay, teacher couldn't go to a bar, but ice cream parlor? They had to be home after 8. They couldn't leave town. They couldn't smoke. They couldn't drink. They couldn't get married. They couldn't date. No life at all. Anyway, number 16, B, they had to stay home at night. And number 17, B and T. They couldn't go to bars and they couldn't go to ice cream shops. Ice cream parlor means ice cream shop. Beauty parlor, beauty shop. Wow, strict rules. After today's class, I'm going to celebrate my freedom and go get some ice cream at an ice cream parlor. All right, geology, iron pyrite. Now, G-E-O means earth. Logi means study. Study earth. Now, it's a bit confusing. We have two subjects. We have geography, geograph. Graph is like a map, right? Like a graph that you make. So earth, map. Geography means studying what's on a map. In other words, the surface of the earth, lakes and rivers and mountains and deserts and countries and borders and oceans and like that. That's geography. Geology means studying the earth itself, inside. The rocks, the dirt, minerals, elements, that kind of thing. That's geology, the inside the earth. Geography is the surface. Geology is the inside. Iron pyrite, we better listen. When you see a word you don't know, listen at the beginning. That's when you'll hear it. They'll tell you what it is near the beginning. And sure enough, they do. Now, there's 3 students talking here. They're in class, but they're talking to each other, so it's not during the lecture. They wouldn't be chit-chatting while the professor is talking. What do students do when they talk? Well, they ask each other questions, and they answer questions, and they help each other follow along. Question, answer, question, answer. Hey, do you know what this means? Yeah, this is, That's what students do. That's what you do while you listen. How is iron pyrite similar to gold? Well, it's called fool's gold because iron pyrite is also called fool's gold because it looks like gold. In other words, A, similar shiny gold in color. Number 19, why is it called fool's gold? B, people were foolish, silly, stupid. Oh, I'm rich, I found gold, yay, I'm rich. Fool, dummy, it's not. It's iron pyrite. It's not real gold. It's not worth anything. It's a rock. Looks like gold. Next thing they talk about is the composition. Okay? The mix of elements it contains. A mix is a composition, a combination. Okay? A composition means combination, mixture. A mix of elements, B and D, sulfur and iron. Iron, pyrite, iron. Sulfur. Sulfur is a bright yellow element. Very bad smell. Smells like rotten eggs. I used to live there was a sulfur mill not too far, like in the city I lived in. And every time we passed it, it smelled like rotten eggs. Sulfur smells bad and it's bright yellow, similar to gold. Number 20, B and D. How does it react to heat? Well, it develops a strong, awful odor, terrible smell, and it smokes. Smoke comes out. It creates smoke, and it emits, sends out a bad smell. Awful odor, bad smell. Again, synonym. And notice how the questions follow what the students are saying. What does it look like? Why do we call it fool's gold? What is it made of? What happens when you how does it react to heat? See? Question, answer, point. Question. Question, answer, conversation, key point, question. Number 22, where does the word pyrite come from? Greek for fire. Pyre, fire. Very similar. Pyre, fire. Pyrite, fire. Okay. We have the word pyromania, pyromaniac. Anyway, D. Number 22 is D. And number 23, of course, C, to start fires. Sure, you can use iron pyrite to start fires. Remember this, though. Iron pyrite, it's sometimes you see it in movies where they'll bang rocks together to create a spark, start a fire like that. Now, we don't do that much anymore, but in the case of emergency, it could work. You could get a spark from it to start a fire. All right, one more thing today, the review exercise. Now, this is very important. Just like with reading, after every 2 chapters, there's a review exercise for listening. All right? This is for skills 1 and 2. Skill 1, main point, main idea, big picture, the forest. Skill 2, details, key points, individual trees, forest and the trees. Okay. Consultation and anthropology paper. Anthro, A-N-T-H-R-O, means man or human. Anthropology, anthropology, study man. The study of people, the study of humans is called anthropology. Now, there's a student. He is in his professor's office. The woman is the professor, and he's obviously there for a reason. Why is he there? And why do we have this? Remember we talked about this. Remember the word? Remember the 3M, the Post-it notes? They didn't sell well at the beginning. Sales were, what was it? Less than stellar. Less than stellar. Less than a star, not a star. Stella means star. This is a constellation. I told you that word a couple weeks ago. Constellation. Constellation is a group of stars together. We call this the Big Dipper. In Korean, it's Bukdu Chilsang. And in English, it's the Big Dipper. A dipper is like a ladle. L-A-D-L-E. A ladle is like a big spoon you use for soup. You know, if you go to a cafeteria, they might have a big spoon. They dip into the soup, bring it out, and give you your soup. Well, that's why it's called a dipper. Big Dipper. All right. I want you to listen, answer it. There are 7 questions. And when you're done, stop, come back, and we'll review it together. Go ahead. Good luck. All right. Let's see how you did. Now, you can play it again while I review it. I'm just going to go over the answers, play it again if you like, or play it again after I review it. Probably the best thing is follow along with me, check your answers, then listen again and see where you went wrong and what went wrong and how. Thanks for seeing me, Dr. Barton. Very important. Who invited who? Here, when the student says, oh, thank you for making time, thank you for seeing me, the student asks the professor, can I please come see you? I need to ask you something. Well, yes, okay. It's my office hour. What do you want to talk about? I wanted to discuss the topic I've chosen for the paper I'm supposed to be writing. The topic is a bit unusual. That's why he's there. That's the main point. He wants to discuss this topic with the professor. In other words, is this topic okay? B, he wants to get permission to write about a topic. I wanted to write about a test used by the Roman military to test soldiers' eyesight. Roman military eyesight test, is this anthropology? Well, and he says, well, okay, well, what was it? What is this test? Now, who's in charge here? The professor, of course. What does the student need? He needs permission. That's the gist. That's the reason he's there. He's not there for fun. He doesn't want to just chit-chat with his professor. He has a reason. What is the reason? Listen for it. He wants permission to write this paper. Good. Who decides? The professor decides. So now we listen and follow the professor. How does she decide? Well, she says, okay, first, tell me this. What does she say? Tell me, what is this test? Key point number 1, what is the eyesight test? Listen and take notes. Number 2, D, okay? What is the test? D, it's to determine if the soldiers would fight as foot soldiers on the front line, just killing each other, terrible, or archers, bows and arrows from the back. They had a test to determine what kind of soldier you would be based on eyesight. Of course, if you want to be an archery, you must have very, very good eyesight. Sure, even today, to be good at archery requires very good eyesight. D, determining the roles of the different soldiers. Number 3, why were they asked to count the stars in the Big Dipper? Well, they get a test to determine the acuity of their vision. Acuity, A-C-U-I-T-Y, means how accurate. How accurate. The acuity, the sharpness, how accurate their seeing is. Look at the picture of the Big Dipper. Ding! There's that picture of the Big Dipper. You can see the 7 stars in the Big Dipper. The star at the bend of the handle of the Big Dipper is called Mizar, and Mizar is a binary star. If you look closely, there's a second star called Alcor next to Mizar. 2 stars close together are binary. B-I, bi means 2, bicycle. Binary, binary star. If a Roman soldier's eyesight was good enough to see Alcor, he could fight as an archer. If he couldn't see Alcor, he had to fight on the front lines as a foot soldier. Number 4, A. A is backwards. The Big Dipper is not one piece of a binary star. No, the binary star, Mizar Alcor, binary star is one part of the Big Dipper. Number 4 is backwards. 4 is A. A is backwards, it's wrong, so it's not true, so it's the right answer. B, Mizar is part of the Big Dipper, yes. C, Alcor is part of a binary star, yes. Alcor, Mizar, 1, 2, close together, binary, 1, 2. And the Big Dipper contains a number of stars, sure, of course. BS, CS, DS, A, no. A is the right answer. Number 5, so what were the 2 outcomes? Well, either you fought as an archer, bow and arrow, or you fought front lines, basically killing each other till everybody died. A and D. A and D. Number 6. So what does the professor say? After he describes this eyesight test, the next key point, again, follow the professor. She's going to make a decision. Can he write this test? Can he write this essay? Maybe. First of all, what is the test? Of course. Tell me about this test. Point. Now, interesting. And how would you relate it to this concept? Survival of the fittest has to do with the idea that those who are strongest or have some physical and mental advantage are more likely to survive. So the next key point that the student must make is how does this relate to survival of the fittest? And sure enough, he says, well, number 6B, soldiers with better eyesight would survive. Fittest, strongest. Strong eyesight, better chance to live. Of course, The archers were way back, just bows and arrows. They had a much better chance to live, a much better chance of survival because they had stronger, fittest eyes. The frontline soldiers, they just go kill each other. Most of them died. Terrible way to be in the military. Bad luck for them. Number 6B. The soldiers with better eyesight would fight from less dangerous positions. And number 7, don't forget the gist. What's the gist? Yeah, there's a lot about eyesight tests and stars and, constellation, the Big Dipper, and survival of the fittest, and Roman soldiers, all this information. But what's the gist? What's the main point? Why is the student there? Always remember that's important. He wants permission to write the essay. So you must listen for that answer. And the answer is yes. Number 7, yes, D. It's possible to write this paper, but C, you should concentrate on the concept of survival of the fittest. Okay. The gist comes back right at the end. Why? Because the professor has to make a decision. And the main point here is the question, the request by the student, and of course the answer by the professor. Does he get permission? Right. Gist is important all through, beginning and end. All right, that's it. That's all. So that's all we're going to do today. Page 139, listening skill 3. That will be next week. I will send you that next week. I want to begin skill 3 together. So we'll begin skill 3 together, and then I'll give you some listening homework after that. This week, the only homework are the exercises in reading. Be sure that you tell me your time for the review exercise, Theodore Dreiser. Try to finish in 15 minutes or less. That's it. That's all for this week. I'm sorry we have 2 separate videos. We had a little problem with a pop-up on the phone. But anyway, if you put the 2 videos together, it should work just fine. If there's any trouble, just email me and ask me. And of course, Thursday, 5:00 p.m., please send your email. I'll look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.